All right, what's up, fight fans, and welcome back to the KJ MMA show. I'm Ryan Jarrell, joined by Garrett Kerman, as always. And right now we have UFC Middleweight Cody Brundage on the show, who's coming off a round one guillotine choke victory at UFC Vegas 50. Cody, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to talk to you again. And wow, what a fight! What a furious start to the fight. And from the outside looking in, a lot of people felt like you were in a lot of trouble, but you stayed really composed in there, ultimately getting the job done and getting the guillotine choke. How hurt were you, if at all?
Um, he hit me with the uppercut when I was in on a single leg, and that one kind of buzzed me. But other than that, nothing he landed was really that clean. I feel like I was doing a good job of using my head movement. I actually told Mark Smith, he's like, you got to move, you got to move. I remember looking at Mark Smith. I'm like, hey, I'm good. I was able to have a conversation with him. I think I threw like a spinning elbow in there, so if you're throwing spinning attacks, you're kind of aware of what's going on. I could hear my coaches. I heard the time call out. I heard my coach say 90. And I remember when my coach said that, I was like, okay, well, there's 90 seconds left. And I feel like the biggest knock on Dalcha is that he doesn't have great cardio. So I was like, if I can just survive these 90 seconds, he's going to have nothing left second and third. Luckily, I didn't even have to go to that. But, yeah, I wasn't too hurt. I've gone back and watched it. It looks bad for sure. Like, I wouldn't want to be my mom or my wife watching it. But in the moment, it wasn't that bad. I wasn't taking too much damage.
So do you remember back to when he had you pressed up against the cage and he was throwing knees? It looked like maybe you could have gotten one of your hands down there to stop him from throwing knees, because otherwise, that would have been illegal. Is that something that you feel like maybe you should have done, or looking back now that, you could have done that to maybe get yourself in a more advantageous position?
Yeah, I feel like I could have. I felt like I was blocking. I had my hands where I could block the knees and could see them coming. I feel like the shots that hurt in MMA, most are the ones that you don't see coming. And I was aware of the knee. I was aware that he was throwing it. He's a shorter guy, so he didn't have a ton of pop on him by the time they got to my head. But yeah, I thought about that. I was like, I could put my hand down here, but I also was like, he's going, right? Like he thinks it's really bad. He thinks he's close to a finish, and he's going balls to the wall to get this finish. And like I said, I knew he didn't have great cardio. And I kind of chalked up the first round. I was like, okay, well, you're not going to win this round. But if we, survive it and make him push pace here, 2 and 3 are going to be easy. So I did think about it, but I felt like I wasn't in that dangerous of a spot.
So run us through the finish and how you got the guillotine choke, how it presented itself.
Everyone's like, why would he shoot? Why would he shoot? I see everyone like, what an idiot. He has no fight IQ. But he was tired. He was really tired. He was going for the finish hard. So he shot to try to kind of slow me down and slow the pace down so he could breathe and get his cardio back. But I went actually Kimura defense, which I had done against Nick Maximov, just to make a little space. And when he tried to re-enter, he left his neck up, and I just jumped it. I didn't really think too much about it. I've been jumping it in practice in camp a lot, and I've been having some success with it. I have a pretty good squeeze, and if I can get, especially the arm in, a lot of people go guillotine without the arm in. I feel like I have a better squeeze with the arm in, and I was able to get a lot of pressure when I jumped guard. I saw his legs come up, and I knew it was deep. So yeah, it was mostly just he took a bad shot, but really it was the hip bump off the Kimura that gave me a little space to get my hand in there and go for the choke.
Once you had it in there, did you know it was sunk and it was over?
Oh yeah, I knew it, man. Like I said, I've been hitting it a lot this camp. Typically pulling guillotine isn't the best option. It cost me in that Maximov fight. I tried to jump guillotine, and he was able to maneuver out of it. But from that position, I felt like it was so deep before we even hit the ground that I knew he wasn't getting out. I saw his hand go up. You always see like guys like they're thinking about tapping. I seen his hand go up like this, and I knew, okay, ball game, we got this.
Yeah, and what a comeback win it was. This was the first win of your UFC career, and you got the $50K performance bonus to boot. Can you just put it into words, like, what this means to you, just how special it is to go in there, get your first win, and then get the performance bonus too?
Yeah, the bonus is cool. Obviously, me and my wife are trying to buy a house, but just to get the win, I feel like I've had a lot of high expectations from a lot of people my whole career. You've been interviewing me my whole career, so you've been on the ride with me, and I just feel like I haven't really lived up to those expectations, and to finally get the win and battle through some adversity and still get the win, I just proved a lot to myself. I feel like I do belong here, and people have told me that, guys at the highest level like Dustin, Jacoby, Anthony Smith, they're always like, man, you're going to be great. You're going to do awesome. But until you make it happen, until it actually happens for you, it's hard to believe. So I think just confidence-wise, it's huge to get the W at the highest level and go through that adversity. And a guy like Dalcha, I think there's a lot of easier fights in the division than Dalcha. I lost to Maximov, and that put me on the wrong side, kind of. You got to battle back and beat someone maybe you're not supposed to get back on the right side. But, it's huge for confidence going forward and feeling like I belong at the highest level and I can have success there.
So you were a plus 120 underdog leading into this fight. I don't know if you follow betting odds at all, but like, does that type of stuff bother you leading into a fight, or do you not really pay much attention?
No, I was actually surprised. I thought I'd be a bigger underdog, just because I really do think Dalcha's super talented. I think he's scary. I think he's powerful, explosive. I mean, you go watch his Ankalaev fight. He dropped Ankalaev a couple times in that fight, took him to the third round, up a weight class. So I really thought I'd be a bigger underdog, but I don't really pay too much attention. I don't want my friends betting on me. I feel like it's bad luck. So if they do, I tell them not to tell me. But I expected to be an underdog, so it didn't really bother me too much.
Okay. Well, I slid you into a couple DraftKings lineups. I'm just going to get that right out there.
Appreciate you.
So, another thing that just came to me while I was watching the fight is, Dalcha, he's kind of similar to a guy you fought before in William Knight as far as just his stature and how jacked he is. Did you take that into consideration as far as like the game plan with this guy?
Yeah, I feel like I'm a strong guy. I don't look like those guys, but I feel like I'm strong. I have a lot of time moving bodies with my wrestling career, so I always feel pretty good in those positions. And I did think about that though. And my parents, my mom's funny. She's always super nervous about fighting, but she's like, "Can you maybe fight someone like a little skinnier, or like for your next fight? Do you always have to fight the most jacked guy in the division?" I'm like, "Well, not anymore. I already did it. So there's no more guys more jacked than them. So we should be good."
There you go, man. And I saw that you did an interview with Barstool Sports recently, which is very cool. And you made a comment. I don't know if it's just an off-the-cuff type of a thing, but saying something about, you're probably going to die today, so I got to reach out to my family. Is that something that you actually think leading into a fight? Does that actually cross your mind a lot?
So usually never, but I never think crazy. I mean, I always have crazy thoughts, don't get me wrong, but like the thought of like dying in a cage, I'm like, that's not going to happen. But for whatever reason for this fight, I'm like, probably gonna die, man. That's just what it is, and obviously looking back, that's not gonna happen, but your brain just plays tricks on you. It's like you'll be about to walk out of the fight, you're like, man, I hate myself, why am I doing this, right? Like, and then you remember once you get the win, right? You're like, oh, like I remember I told my coach that, I'm like, what are we doing, this is crazy. And then I won, and we were sitting in the hotel after the fight. I was like, oh, that's why we do it. Okay, that makes sense. But in the moment, your body's like, you don't need to do this, what are you doing, this is stupid. There's so many easier ways to make money. You went to college. It's crazy what goes through your mind before you walk out there. But, you have some real demons before you go fight. And maybe that's just me. Maybe everybody else is way tougher. They don't have those feelings and they love it. I love fighting. I love competing. I love training. But the anxiety you get before you get locked into another cage with someone that wants to hurt you, to me is a lot, and I've learned to deal with it. But it doesn't stop those thoughts from coming. You know what I mean?
For sure. Well, congratulations on that win, man. Very, very impressive. We couldn't be any happier for you. And, Cody, we talked a little bit beforehand, and I wasn't sure how much information you wanted to discuss about your daughter, Kinsley, and everything that you guys are going through. But, a lot more stories and reports came out during fight week, about, the epilepsy and the purple bracelet that you wore. Can you just kind of give us an update now how she's doing and just, how this whole weekend and the great experience it was for you, just what it all meant to your family? Yeah,
it was awesome. My wife and my daughter came out there, so I got to see them right after. And then, like I said in my interviews, like there's a lot of dark days, and there's so few cases of what she has. So she doesn't actually have epilepsy. She has what's called ALG13, which is a gene mutation, which makes her very prone to epileptic seizures. And then the seizures that come with the gene mutation they don't necessarily respond very well to treatment. I'm a big supporter of epilepsy awareness. My sister also has epilepsy. Luckily, her seizures were able to be treated, But with my daughter, there's not a good prognosis on actually being able to treat the seizures. So I just think it's good to use a platform like that to bring awareness to things that, people are dealing with and struggling with. I know when I've seen people who are struggling with similar things to me that I deem as successful, or I see them as being successful, it means a lot to me because I'm like, oh, they're making it. Somehow they're making it work. I can make it work. So if I could be that for anybody, that's awesome. As far as my daughter goes, we came back Monday. We went straight to the hospital. I still haven't been home from my fight. Everything's okay, but my daughter's had this appointment to get, she had to have a lot of tests done on her because they're trying to put her on a ketogenic diet. Because a lot of times that can do a good job of holding off those seizures and preventing them. So, yeah, me and my wife have been in the hospital since Monday, hoping to go home tomorrow morning. And, yeah, it'd be nice. I want to go home. I feel like I got to Vegas on Tuesday, so it's been a minute.
Yeah, I can only imagine, man. So hopefully once you do get home really soon, you'll just have some downtime and just some family time to spend with them. What are the plans? Are you guys going to take a little vacation, or are you just going to kind of be low key and just kind of chill out at the house?
It'll be pretty low key. I actually have a planned vacation home. My cousin's getting married in April in South Carolina. So I'm going to go home for like 10 days. I haven't been home to South Carolina in like a year. So I'm really excited for that. See my grandparents, see my parents. Kingsley will be there, be around them. So, yeah, I'll be pretty low-key till then. Back in the gym on Monday. Got a lot of work to do. Like I said, I got a lot of confidence from winning that fight, but I know how hard it is, and I want to keep the streak going. Every streak starts with one. I want to just keep this one going and keep the momentum rolling.
Absolutely. And we got to talk about Factory X, your teammates, your coach, Mark Montoya. I feel like this is a gym, and it's crazy saying this because you hear sometimes gyms like American Top Team or Jackson Wink, but Factory X should be considered right at the top with all of them because you guys are just killing it, man. Do you feel like you get a little underrated in some regards?
Yeah, I feel like Factory X is missing a lot of respect that they deserve. I think part of that is I feel like Coach Mark, he's about his fighters, and he's about the guys on the team, and he's not going to kiss anyone's butt just to get on their good side if he doesn't agree with what they're doing. That's just not the guy he is. And I'm not saying that everyone does that, and that's why they get so much respect. I'm just saying I know Coach Mark doesn't do that, and maybe that's why sometimes we don't get as much respect. But it's like Dustin Jacoby says, man, if you just win, the rest will take care of itself. So if we can just keep cranking our wins, we're going to demand respect, and we'll get it.
Speaking of Dustin Jacoby, he's finally cracked the top 15, man. How happy are you for him?
Bro, I was so pumped. So I got out there, and I was on my phone at the airport before I flew out, and I saw it. I sent it to him. I'm like, man, you earned this. Like, if anybody knows that guy's story, it's unreal. And if you don't know his story, I encourage you to go learn about it because that guy is the epitome of perseverance. He's been through it to get to it. He's a huge inspiration for me. He's a mentor of mine. He's in my corner. I'm in his corner. He's like family to me. I'm super happy for him. And this is just the beginning. That guy's ultra talented. The thing is, he's still getting so much better at MMA because he was doing glory for like 10 years. So he wasn't doing any grappling, wasn't doing any jiu-jitsu. He's only been back in MMA for like 3 years. So his ceiling is still, he's not even at his ceiling. I'm excited for him. And yeah, I'm super happy for that guy.
Yeah, well, definitely a great fighter and a great human being. Do you hang with him on the golf course? Like, are you on his level?
No, bro. I don't know anyone. There's no one at our gym that's on his level. I'm not sure there's anyone in the UFC that's on his level. He's the real deal. I always joke with him. I always make jokes that he's old. He's only 5 years older than me, but I was like, man, you're like 2 years away from the senior tour, bro. You're going to tear it up.
Yeah, well, geez, I can't wait to see him back in action as well. And I understand I saw an interview you did with James Lynch. You're a big basketball fan. I didn't realize that. You like the Grizzlies.
I like the Grizzlies merch. I don't want to get it twisted and say I like the Grizzlies, but I think their merch is sweet. He was asking me, why you got a Grizzlies jersey? I'm like, because they're the coolest jerseys you can buy, throwback. But, yeah, I follow basketball a little bit, not too crazy. I'm more of a football, wrestling guy for sure.
Okay. Did you see where Von Miller just went? He just signed with the Bills. What do you think of that?
I'm actually kind of surprised. I thought he was coming back to the Broncos. He kept posting all this stuff about coming back home. I'm going to be back home, and then sign with the Bills. I mean, the Bills are going to be tough to beat, though, I do think. I think the Bills are going to be really good.
Yeah, I'm just so happy that my guy Tom Brady's coming back. You have no idea how pumped I am.
Well,
I shed a tear.
I talked to you, I think, like the week he retired, and you were upset. Yeah. I was worried about you, bro. But I'm happy that you're happy.
You should have been seeing my wife and how upset she was for me. I feel bad that she had to be under the same roof as me, but all is well now, so we're good. My guy Brady is back. Before we let you go, Cody, we got to talk some fights. UFC London is this Saturday, so I'm gonna kick it over to the fight analyst here, Garrett Kerman, to help you guys break this down for us.
Yeah, I mean, main event. We got to get your thoughts on Tom Aspinall, Alexander Volkov. Who do you got winning this one?
I'm gonna say Aspinall, just because I think not every fight, but the last 3 fights of Volkov's, he's just he looks like someone who doesn't really want to be there. I think the guy's super talented. I think he's a great kickboxer, but every fight he's even go back to the Greg Hardy fight. In my mind, I'm he should demolish Greg Hardy, and he's just doing enough to win. I think that's a hard game plan against someone like Tom Aspinall, who's so talented and hungry and wants to fight for the belt. So I'm gonna pick Aspinall.
Do you expect this fight to be hard for Aspinall, knowing that he's going up against one of the top contenders in the division, and also he has to go 25 minutes where he wasn't really getting ready for that. He was getting ready for another fight. Do you think that there's going to be it's going to be a hard fight for him, knowing that the longer this fight goes, it's it could be in Volkov's warehouse?
I think it'll be a difficult fight because I think Volkov's super talented. As far as the time, I don't think it'll be that hard because I don't think Volkov pushes a crazy pace. I don't think cardio will be that too much of an issue because, like I said, the pace isn't too insane at heavyweight as is, and Volkov isn't a heavyweight that's going to push hard. So, yeah, I think it'll be tough just because Volkov is a huge frame. He's got super long reach. He has very good kicks, and it's a tough matchup. I still like Aspinall, like I said, but I don't think the cardio will really come into factor too much.
All right, Garrett, you got anything else, man? I mean, there's a few other fights on this card. I'm sure people would like to know what Cody thinks is going to go down.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we got to talk about Paddy Pimblett. The hometown favorite here. How do you see his this fight playing out in his hometown in front of his hometown fans?
I think it being a hometown fight is a huge advantage for Paddy. Most people I'd be like, oh, it doesn't really matter, but for Paddy and Molly McCann as well, I think it is a huge advantage for those guys. My wife is really good friends with Molly, and we actually flew out there when she fought for the Cage Warriors title years and years ago. And the crowd that those people bring is unreal, and the support they have is unreal. I think it makes a big difference. I think it's a favorable matchup already for Paddy. So I like him to win that fight for sure. I think he probably wants to stay away from messing with Topuria right now, but I saw that video of those two getting into it a little bit. I think Topuria is a future champ for sure. I think Paddy's good. I just think he should focus on his fight. It's not an easy one, but I think he'll get the finish. I think he'll get a submission. He's got some wild submissions, flying triangles, things like that. I think he'll get a submission, really pump up the crowd.
Cody, how good can Paddy be? What's his ceiling that you think right now?
I think he has a really high ceiling. I think he's big for the weight. He's got a good chin. My boy Luigi put one right on his chin. Luigi hits like a truck, and it hurt him, but it didn't put him out. So I think he has a good chin. He's durable, has good ground game, good striking, and he's supremely confident, And I think the fact that, coupled with the fact that he has such a big following, the UFC are going to give him good fights. They're going to give him good matchups for a little bit, kind of like you saw with Sean O'Malley. And the more you can build that confidence and build those skills behind wins, the better it's going to be for you. So I think his potential is super high.
And Paddy has a little bit of a McGregor thing going on, right? Just with the way he talks and his confidence and swagger.
Yeah, for sure. I think, listen, it's hard for me to understand the Scouse. I try to hear what they're saying, but it's almost like a foreign language to me. I can barely understand some of the stuff they're saying. But, yeah, he's definitely got that. He's got a whole country behind him. That's one thing about foreign fighters that I think is really cool. In America, no one cares that you're an American fighter. If I was fighting a Brazilian, no one's cheering for me because I'm American, right? They're cheering for who they like. But everyone in Brazil is going to cheer for the Brazilian. Same with England. If I'm fighting a guy from England, everyone from England's going to cheer for the guy from England. So I think that's a pretty cool thing that the foreign fighters have going for them. I wish the American fighters had that a little bit more, so I'm a little jealous. But, yeah.
All right. Garrett, is there another fight you want to get his pick on before we let him go?
Actually, I just want to know, who is your best bet on this card? You know, this entire fight card, who would you lay some money on?
A lot of people aren't going to probably agree with me, but I'm going to go Arnold Allen, actually. And I like Dan Hooker. I've met him a couple times. I think he's a super cool dude. I think he's a super talented fighter. But Arnold Allen has probably put together the most quiet, badass win streak in the UFC right now. 8 straight wins. He's looked phenomenal in all of them. He's young. He's getting better every fight. And Dan Hooker's cutting a ton of weight down to 45. You know, I think people are making too much about him possibly missing. He's never missed weight before. I don't think he'll miss weight. But that weight cut does take a lot out of you. And Arnold Allen's an absolute monster to try to come off that giant weight cut for the first time and beat in his hometown.
I love it. Cody Brundage has a future at the UFC desk sitting next to Michael Chiesa. Mark my words. Just a matter of time, man. Cody, always great talking to you, buddy. Before we let you go, I want to give you the floor. Tell people where to follow you on social media. If you have anyone to thank, the floor is yours.
My Twitter is Cody Brundage 185, and then my Instagram is Cody_Brundage_. I just want to shout out my teammates, my family, my wife, my coaches. They do everything for me. You know, my management, Iridium. We're all one big family. You know, I'm so happy to have the circle that I do, and they're a huge reason for the success that I have. So I'm just thankful to them.
All right, and definitely great having UFC middleweight Cody Brundage on the show today. I can't help but feel good for the guy, especially after everything that he's dealing with in his personal life with his beautiful little girl and all of her issues. So that $50K, that performance bonus, definitely came in handy at the right time, and you know, just a good guy. So can't not be happy for him.
Oh, absolutely. Great performance, and you know, just overall better, you know, great person outside of the cage as well. You know, we wish him the best with his family, and you know, and we want to see him back in there soon. He's a finisher, and you know, he's definitely one to watch out for in the middleweight division.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, with that said, let's dive right into this weekend's card. We're over at UFC London, headlined by Tom Aspinall and Alexander Volkov. Let's start just right there at that main event because I'm intrigued what you think about this one, Garrett. Aspinall is the -130 favorite. Volkov is the +110 underdog. You know, I'm a little surprised maybe about that. I mean, we've seen some massive power at Aspinall. He's clearly very good, but this is a step up in competition, right? I mean, Alexander Volkov is near the top of the division. He's maybe considered like a gatekeeper, like, right? Because don't expect him to be a champion, but if you're not the absolute like top of the division, you're not going to beat this guy. He's incredibly long. So break this one down for me from a betting standpoint. How do you see this one playing out?
Well, you see a lot of money has come in on Aspinall. Aspinall, I think, opened as around a -125. I mean, sorry, +125, +130 favorite. And then now the money's all come in on him. He's all the way down to, you know, -135, -130, you know, favorite. So the line's flipped. So a lot of the betting public has really sided with him. Well, I don't know really if that's the best way. I think those who got in early and got him as, you know, an underdog was, you know, a great value there. But right now, I think the values on Alexander Volkov here are plus money, +110, +120, around that way. You're talking about Aspinall. He wasn't getting ready for Volkov in the first place. He was getting ready for Shamil Abdurakhimov. I believe that's how you say it, kind of. You know, he was getting ready for him, but the UFC called him like, we need a main event. Are you willing to step up to take on Volkov in the main event? He said, sure, let's do it. But also, Aspinall has been one to, he's like, I want to slow roll this. He's like, I don't want to jump right at the top, right out of the gate. Well, 5 fights in, he's first facing the number 6 ranked, you know, heavyweight in the world, going from 4 unranked competitors to now fighting the number 6 ranked heavyweight in the world. I feel like it's going to be a tall task. I do think he's going to be, you know, very a much more powerful fighter than Volkov. He packs more of a punch. He's a better grappler, but he hasn't gone past like 6-7 minutes in his entire career. So it's going to be tough to see what he's able to do after, if it does hit rounds 3, 4, and 5. You know, that's where Volkov should have the advantage. Obviously, he's got the much more experience as well. I think he's got almost 4 times as much fights against elite competition, and only true power punches have knocked him out over his career. Minakov back in the day, I think in Bellator, knocked him out a long time ago, and obviously Derek Lewis, who was getting beat and was dominated for the entire fight until the last 11 seconds. So, Volkov is still, I think, top 5 in the heavyweight division. He's still very long. He's got great takedown defense. He defended 16 takedowns against Tybura in his last fight. That added muscle and the added pounds definitely has helped him in that area. I do think it's, slowed him down a bit in his striking, but he showed he can go 25 minutes striking. He did it with Cyril Gane, and I think he could do it here. And, the later this fight goes, the more it sways towards, Volkov. I do like to take a live bet opportunity on Volkov. I do think he drops rounds 1, possibly round 2. And then from there, you can get him at +2, +300. And I think he should be able to kind of drown Aspinall in the later rounds.
Yeah, really interesting main event. Definitely looking forward to that heavyweight bout. Co-main event, Dan Hooker, Arnold Allen. Dan Hooker -105, Arnold Allen -115. This is essentially a pick'em. These guys are both elite fighters, and this is interesting to me because obviously, Hooker changing weight classes, drops down. How's he going to look? How do you feel like he fares here against Allen?
Oh, man, it's going to be a great fight. I think it's going to be back and forth, tooth and nail to the very, very end. I think it's going to be extremely close. I don't think either one of them is going to really pull away. I don't see a finish on either side. I do have to side with Allen here. I think he's just, he's at a better place in his career right now. I think he's riding, an 8-fight winning streak right now. He's looked sensational in his time in the UFC. He's finally getting the right step up in competition. He's looked great against Sadiq Youssef. And then we don't know what you're going to get from Hooker. I mean, Hooker, obviously, he's cut to 145 before, but his best work has been done at lightweight. So it kind of wonders, why would he drop down to 145? Is it because he knows that Islam's going to be the champion and he's not going to be able to ever touch him? And is he because he's never going to be able to get to the, to a title fight? I don't know.
Khabib 2.0. It's Khabib 2.0. Everyone's terrified. Let's be honest.
It's true. I mean, look what he did. He subbed him in sub 60 seconds, something crazy like that. So I don't blame him. It's a hard fight. It's hard for him to really progress at 155 pounds. So I think he thinks there's a better path to a title at 145. But even if it gets to the title at 145, right, and Alexander's at the top, what's going to happen there? I don't even know.
Yeah. Do you think Hooker gets the win? Do you expect him to beat Arnold Allen?
I actually, it's a tough one. I think I have to side with Allen here. I think he's just got, he's more well-rounded. He can take this fight to the mat. He can mix it up. He's got, heavy hands. He's going to be, coming forward. He could get caught, and as long as he doesn't get into a firefight and he just mixes things up well, I do think he could get it done here. And, I just keep moving up in the 145-pound division.
All right. Well, we have to talk about Paddy Pimblett and Ilia Topuria, but they're not fighting one another. Obviously, it's what happened leading up to this fight. Both of these guys are massive, massive favorites. I feel like Paddy Pimblett is the guy that everyone is watching to see exactly what he can do, because there's a little bit of Conor McGregor-ism to him, and just the way he talks and how fluid he is. So he's a massive favorite. Garrett, do you expect him to win?
Absolutely. I think he steamrolls Vargas round 1, goes in there, gets him down, either submits him or TKO from his back. I mean, he's gonna put in the work here. He's gonna get the first round finish. I think this is a very good stylistic matchup for him. Vargas can't defend the takedowns. He's not going to, and I don't think he's powerful enough on the feet to knock out Paddy. So I think he absolutely steamrolls him. They're giving him a layup fight in his hometown, in front of his hometown fans. So this place is going to be rocking for Paddy Pimblett.
All right. And for people out there, this is actually the first fight of the night, I believe. And it's really a banger because there's been some bad blood. They've been going back and forth for a while now. Cody Durden, Muhammad Mokaev. Mokaev is like this massive prospect who's never lost and just really looks to be the real deal. He's a big favorite against Durden. Mokaev is -350. When you look at this one, do you expect Mokaev, the newcomer, to go in there and beat Durden, or do you feel like this is a place where, maybe you can make some money on an underdog?
I think Mokaev definitely gets the win here. He's not going to look like a -350 favorite early on. I do think Durden, he's definitely a great fighter in round 1.5. So he tends to fade more or less after round 1, and he's done it in each one of his fights in the UFC. I expect him to come in hot in round 1, take him down, rinse and repeat, look good, maybe take his back. We've seen Makhachev get taken down before. He doesn't have the best takedown defense, but I don't expect him to get submitted. I expect him to, get out of round one, and that's where he's going to be able to take over and possibly finish him late or get a decision win.
Okay. Well, we're running a little short on time, but I want you to just take the floor right here and give us a couple of underdog bets or a couple of fights that you just feel like are basically going to go in there and get the job done and win. So like picks that you just feel very confident about, and then picks that if you're going to bet on a dog, you would maybe put a little money towards thinking that they could spring the upset.
Yeah, there's not a lot of underdogs I like in this card. Probably my only dog bet on this card would probably be Paul Craig at plus 165. I just think he has, he's got the momentum on his side. He's coming in with 3 straight wins against good competition. I mean, we saw what he did against Jamal Hill. He could definitely do the same thing against Krylov. I mean, Krylov can definitely get taken down. He's been taken down in 7 of his last 8 fights. And if he does get taken down, it's going to be dicey for him. So, and we know that Krylov is a good striker, but he tends to, go into the grappling realm, even though he doesn't really need to. I'm not sure why, but I got Paul Craig as an underdog here, plus 165. I think we're getting a good line there. As far as strong bets, I kind of like the value we're getting on Molly McCann at minus 135 in her hometown. We know it's going to be a close fight. It's going to go to the judges, but I do think she's going to be able to get the win on the judges' scorecards just because she's going to be the much busier fighter. She's going to be coming forward. She's going to be getting in the face of Carolina and just landing more, possibly getting some takedowns and just doing a lot more. I think it's going to be a close fight, but I do think she gets it done. Minus 135, I think we're getting a good line there. And also I'm going with Timur Valiev. I think we're getting a good line there. I'm minus 120. I've waited all week waiting for all the money to come in on Jack Shore. Jack Shore is a top prospect out of the UK. A lot of money's been coming in on him. He's a favorite underdog on this card. But I think Valiev is going to poses a lot of, threats on the feet. He's going to be much better with his movement, and he's got a ton more volume on the feet. As long as he doesn't get stuck on his back, which I don't expect him to. Shore is not, the best at holding his opponents on the mat. So I think in his last 2 fights, he's controlling an opponent for about a minute every time he's taking them down. Only 4 minutes each fight in his last 2 fights. So I think Valiev, he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt under Ricardo Almeida. And I don't expect him to just, get taken down and controlled. So Valiev definitely wins this fight on the feet. I expect him to keep it there and get the job done.
All right. One last one. I got to get your take. Does your boy Vince, can he get it done against Nathaniel Wood?
If you did not see the news, he's unfortunately out of this fight against Nathaniel Wood. He did not feel well after getting off the plane, and the officials will not let him cut the weight. So that fight is now off, and they are, looking for a potential replacement for Nathaniel Wood. Nothing is certain just yet. So we'll see what happens with that fight. Hopefully it gets rebooked. I was really looking forward to that scrap.
Yeah, darn. Well, that really is too bad. Well, look, it's a great card, top to bottom. UFC London this Saturday. Make sure you tune in. Another big thank you to our guest, Cody Brundage. And we'll be back with another great guest and another great show next week.